Hello and welcome to the November edition of Hep C TV. This month we'll be catching up on all things Hep C from around the world and paying tribute to Lou Reed, who recently died after a long battle with Hep C, and hearing from one of our regular contributors to Hepatitis C News, Lucinda Porter. There's been some good news on the treatment front, with the US Food and Drug Administration 19-member advisory panel recommending approval of 2 new Hep C treatments: a combination treatment of sofosbuvir and ledipasvir from Gilead Sciences and simipavir from Johnson & Johnson and Medivir. The FDA isn't obliged to act on these recommendations, but the signs are promising. A decision on both is expected to be made in the coming weeks. And good news for baby boomers in New York. State Governor Andrew Cuomo has signed a new law requiring hospitals and health service providers to offer Hep C testing to all patients born between 1945 and 1965. It's a move that makes sense, as it's thought that around 3/4 of Hep C infection is found in those born between these post-war years. In fact, it's thought that up to 150,000 New Yorkers are unaware that they are infected with the virus. The music world has been paying its respects to legendary musician Lou Reed, who recently died after a long battle with Hepatitis C. Best known for tracks including Perfect Day and Walk on the Wild Side, Reed was considered one of the most influential singers and songwriters in rock.
I wish that I'd sail the darkened seas on a great big...
Although the Velvet Underground never achieved commercial success during their 1960s existence, their influence in later decades was widely recognised. The punk, glam and alternative rock movements of the 70s, 80s and 90s were indebted to Reed, whose songs were covered by the likes of R.E.M., David Bowie and Nirvana. Earlier this year, Reed received a liver transplant, but his condition deteriorated rapidly, and he died on Long Island on the 27th of October. He leaves behind a loyal fan base, and his legacy lives on as one of rock and roll's greats. A regular contributor to Hep C News, Lucinda Porter, has recently written a guide to Hep C. It's an inspirational and ultimately hopeful guide to those managing their treatment. We recently caught up with Lucinda and asked her what advice she would give to those living with the disease.
My advice to patients is to think outside of your liver. You know, when we first are diagnosed, we just want to know what's good for our liver, and we forget that we have an entire body, a body that has a heart and a brain, we have our emotions, we have a life. So focus on taking care of all of yourself. You know the drill, those are the things that we're supposed to do that none of us want to do. So eat right, keep your weight healthy, exercise every day, get enough sleep. But here's an easy one. Don't forget to laugh. Laughter's good for everything.
To mark the launch of Lucinda's new book, we have 5 copies to give away. Simply email us at editor@hepatitiscnews.com with your best advice for living well with Hep C. That's it for now. We'll be back next month with your dose of all things Hep C. But in the meantime, check out our website, hepatitiscnews.com, for all your latest news, views and updates on Hep C from around the world.